This Thursday night, the Detroit Lions take on the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
We know you love the Packers. You've been with the – well, you know I know you love the Lions more. I just got to give you a little guff. But you've talked about this Green Bay team. You talked about them last year. You said you believed in them. In the offseason, you believed in them. Here we are now. The Green Bay Packers, are they a real threat to the Detroit Lions? Not only this game, but this division. Stick, you get to go second. Tom Masway.
I'm just laughing at Maz because he's a fan of every team, so it's got to be hard.
He's a fan of football. He's a fan of his two New York teams, and then he's a fan of the
and
NFC
the 49ers,
North.
and the Falcons, and the Dolphins, and the Cowboys.
Each team has something endearing to me.
I get it.
Each team has something endearing to me.
Because I like the Lions. I'll tolerate the Raiders.
I get it.
The Steelers I like, and the Ravens. Everybody else, goodbye.
That's okay. Listen, the Packers are getting us at a good time for the Packers to get us. We are down, but we're not out. We are down. We're beaten. We're 3.5-point favorite on Thursday night. Yesterday, I kind of blew off this game like, oh, it's just a regular season game. But the more I thought about it, this ain't a regular season game. This is a playoff game. You've got to win in your division. Not only that, Minnesota is on your ass. The Packers are right there. And, of course, the team I think that is the best team right now in the league, the Philadelphia Eagles, is one game behind you. You do not want to tie them because they're going to keep winning. You do not want to have the same record as them and then wait for tiebreakers to see who gets home field. You want to have home field. You want to get that week off before the playoffs start. That is ultra important. That's why I think, as battered and bruised as this team is, they will beat the Packers on Thursday. Not sure if they'll cover 3.5, but somehow they will grit out a win on Thursday night.
So this Packers team doesn't scare you then, Magic?
Of course they do. Of course they scare me.
Stick, what do you think?
We're down 6 defensive starters, about 14 regular players. Our two best special teams guy, Jalen Reeves-Maybin, and our punt returner, our kick returner, Khalif Raymond. Everything is against the Lions right now. Everything. Except Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. They built a badass team that sticks together. And they're not going to let anyone come into their house and beat them. Yeah, they played their worst game of the year against the Buccaneers. I count that as preseason. They're not like they were, but I believe they'll hold serve on Thursday night.
100%, and that builds to the identity side of things. You brought up injuries, so let's just take you there. And Stick, give me a second. Pete, throw up what Dan Campbell said about the injuries, since Madge, you make it a point. Defensive injuries are key in this game.
Yeah, I don't feel as good about Decker, for this week. There'll be a lot more that goes down today. I felt like CD looked pretty good yesterday, looked real good, actually. So, barring nothing else today in practice, I feel pretty good there. And I think the rest of it's gonna take a minute here, see what today and tomorrow look like. Yeah. Well, I don't see him practice today either, and he's kind of a day-to-day deal here.
The majority of these injuries are on the defensive side of the ball, and that was Dan Campbell. AG also talked about the defensive injuries. Here's AG on the injuries.
The elephant in the room is all the injuries that has happened with us on the defensive side. Listen, it is what it is. Listen, our personnel staff does a really good job of going to acquire players that fit exactly who we are. And I would say this, it's not the playbook that's the most important thing for these guys to come in and learn. It's the style of play that we have. And that's easy to learn. Once you see it, and once we show it to them, they understand, listen, this is how we play. Because we can shrink the playbook down as much as we want. But it's the way that you play that's the most important. And the most of the guys that we bring in, they understand that. And we try to make sure we emphasize that as much as possible. I think what we've done, and if you look at the guys that we've had, like we brought in Muhammad. Muhammad was with us in New Orleans, so he understood some of the concepts that we have. We brought Quan in. We had Quan in New Orleans. He understands some of the concepts that we have. And any of the other guys, man, we try to make sure we spend as much time as we can with them and make sure we can shrink the playbook to where, man, these are the calls that we're going to have, right? Understand what your job is, and then make sure they play a certain way. And that's the most important thing, like I said before, is just the play style.
Stick, now I'm going to come right back to you and ask you the same thing I had Mass. The only thing I'll add to that is the injury side of things. You look at who Green Bay is now. They've only lost to the Minnesota Vikings that was early in the year. They lost to the Detroit Lions that was early in the year. And then they lost to the Philadelphia Eagles the first game of the year. In the last 7 games, they haven't allowed one team to score over 20 points. They won all those games. They've gotten better and better. It seems like Jordan Love has gotten injured. Gotten healthy, excuse me. Just this game, this Thursday night, did the Green Bay Packers bother you or scare you?
Scared never.
Okay.
Never once, not ever.
We ain't scared.
No, stoked, not scared, to quote our friend D-Mac. And we talk about the injury bug. It's obviously a thing, but we can probably agree it's mostly on the defensive side of the ball, right? So I'm looking at Ben Johnson. I'm looking at Dan Campbell as this being a game that we kind of saw last night. Like, hey, we got to turn this into a track meet. We got to give our best foot forward on offense. That's where we're the healthiest. That's our strength right now. So I think the Lions offense is going to come out and try to put up 50 on these guys. Like, I think they're going to open the playbook. I think it's a big day for J-Mo. I think the offense is going to be wide open and spread it and just do what they need to do. So I'm not really scared, and especially because now you look at the Green Bay doesn't have a ton of injuries, but Josh Jacobs is on the injury report this week.
Which is
Josh
amazing.
Jacobs has been what has elevated Green Bay over these past couple weeks. It hasn't been Jordan Love. We know, like, Josh Jacobs, that addition to this offense is the one thing that would scare me, because I think Josh Jacobs is a heck of a player. So him being on the injured list, the Lions not allowing any running game, period, for pretty much every game that they've played this year, that kind of takes away their biggest weapon to me. And so really, I'm not scared. I think the Lions have what it takes. AG just kind of made me feel even more comfortable.
Yeah.
Just because it's not about system. It's about how we play, not what we're doing. And, they're bringing in guys like Adams. They're bringing in guys like Alexander. They're bringing in guys that are going to play downhill, play hard-hitting football, and that's what this culture is all about. So it's plug and play. Aiden Hutchinson went down, haven't lost a game since. Alex Anzalone goes down, haven't lost a game since. I mean, we can keep going on and on.
They haven't lost a game since week 2.
Exactly.
But
so
you don't think they're coming down to earth a little?
Why is this week going to be any different?
I'm just saying.
No, I'm asking you. Why would this week be any different? What's different than the adversity that they've faced?
They're playing a better team this week.
You think
they're not playing the Colts or the Bears? They're playing the Green Bay Packers.
Mm-hmm. And they've beaten good teams
on
this run.
I know. They're 11-1.
Right. Yeah. So what are you comparing it to then? Like
you're
only comparing it to the bad teams. Why don't we talk about the good teams they've already beaten?
When was the last good team they beat?
I'll have to look at the schedule.
Texans.
The Texans was a good win.
They're okay. They're not great.
No, I know, but you said good. I agree. I told you the Texans didn't look the same this year. So
I'm not disparaging the Lions.
Right.
I'm just saying what I said yesterday. I still believe in my heart. I don't like the way the offense has looked the last 2 weeks. And there's only one guy missing on the offense, and it's Taylor Decker. And he's probably going to miss again this week. Dan Skipper is still banged up. Right. There's word that they might move Penei Sewell over to Decker's spot. Now, where you're putting where Penei plays, because he's got to protect Goff's blind side. Yeah. That's important. Green Bay can rush the passer. Xavier McKinney leads the league in interceptions.
And running his mouth.
He's very good.
Backing it up, too.
He's very good. Along with Kirby. Now, Tucker Kraft, their tight end,
right.
He's been speaking up. He's been saying, I can't wait to play against Kirby Joseph because we owe him a little something.
But you know what this reminds me of? The fake toughness that Ohio State was trying to present on Saturday. The pumping themselves up on the sideline. Then to get in their own heads. And if they got to have this talk and they got to get all this fluff underneath them, it shows they're scared.
I disagree because...
Really?
I disagree. Last year when we played them on Thanksgiving, they showed us what time it was.
Oh, yeah.
Then we came back and we got a good win over them. It's a back and forth type thing. I don't think it's a dominant thing. Michigan owns the physicality between those two.
Right.
Green Bay showed us on Thanksgiving what time it was. They showed us in the playoffs, and we got a chance and we beat them in Green Bay. It sounds like a rivalry. It doesn't sound like a one-sided thing. Let me get some new blood. I'm tired of you guys talking. Chase, let me bring you in on this, Chase.
Chase, you better be on my side. That's all I know.
You be on your side. What do you think about the scenario of Thursday night? Green Bay Packers, they're coming in just as hot as the Detroit Lions, and the Detroit Lions, they're coming in a little injury hampered. What do you think?
I think the offensive line is going to possibly play a big role. Thursday Night Football tends to be a lot of ground game and running the ball. So I'm not so much worried about our offensive line, but how our new additions at linebacker are going to be able to fill run gaps, because Matt LaFleur has been very good at creating run schemes and concepts through his tenure as the coach for Green Bay. And Josh Jacobs is a very good running back as well.
I'm glad you said that. There have been a couple of new additions to the Detroit Lions. One of them, most notably, Jamal Adams. You remember him, All-Pro, when he was with the Seattle Seahawks as well as the New York Jets. Here's AG talking about how he may use Jamal Adams.
How steady has Jack been over the last few weeks to just kind of calm everything from that position?
Man, he's a rock. And I've said this several times, but the Mike linebacker, if you had a picture of a Mike, like he would be probably standing in front because of how he operates. He's a man's man. He loves standing in front of the huddle to give the call out to those guys, and they really, really respect him. And they respect him because of who he is personally, but they respect the way that he plays the game. It's 100 miles per hour all the time, even in walkthrough. I mean, he's going through his reads and he's going through his drops. He's making sure he fit up on the ball the right way, bent knees, like ready to strike. And it's just who he is. And he has been a rock for us. And listen, I'm glad that we have him.
I apologize. We had AG on Jack Campbell. We have Jamal Adams talking about wanting to play for AG. But let's dissect what AG said about Jack Campbell. Jack Campbell's had a tremendous year. Mm-hmm. He's the quiet guy stick, doesn't say much. Every once in a while, he'll talk in the locker room if given the game ball. But when you see it on film, he's everywhere. He makes a lot of plays, and he is a physical force for this Detroit Lions team, especially with the absence of Alex Anzalone.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a couple games of those double-digit, not sacks, but tackle totals, and yeah, I mean,
tackles for loss as well.
He's the guy who's come in. He's the guy who stepped up. He's the next man up, especially with Malcolm Rodriguez out too. He's got to be the guy, and it's the second year. And you look at that draft class that he came in on, and my goodness. Hitting on all four of those first picks has really elevated this squad. We've talked about that ad nauseum, but
the infamous walkout.
I wasn't going to hold you credible for that, Braylon. It was a rough night for a lot of people.
That's why he's playing hard.
I walked out. It is what it is. I'm an honest man. And that's why I've been giving him his flowers every week.
Yeah, but the evolution of Jack Campbell is something special, and that you see it with this coaching staff. Like, when they draft a guy, you got to give them at least 3 years to develop him. Like you saw it with Derek Barnes. It took a couple years to understand the system, get the right things around you. And even with Anzarike, or who they just re-signed.
Alex Anzalone.
Anzalone's another guy.
Honest,
When Anzalone got here from New Orleans, I was like, oh, God. Who is this placeholder?
How fast I tried to get rid of Anzalone?
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Even in 22.
Yeah.
I still say he wasn't.
You want him to get a haircut and get the hell out of here.
He couldn't play in the flats.
Yeah, so
getting exposed.
The linebacking crew, I love the tenacity of it. I love that you don't need that super athletic guy to hold on. You need that solid football player. And that's what I think AG was talking about how they play. Like, look, you just need to come up and fill the gap. Like, don't worry about anything else but your assignment in this defense, and the rest will take care of itself. And if you can keep bringing guys in who bought into the system, like Alexander, like you said, who already played for him in New Orleans, they already know what the expectation is. They already know what they're going to be tasked to do when they get their limited snaps in this game. And I can't wait to see these guys just let off the leash. Because as you know, like, being a veteran, do you get that new life back in you when you go to a Super Bowl caliber team? I mean, you've just been sitting on a practice squad all year. But now you get to kind of relive the Pro Bowl All-Pro guy that you were and know that you don't have to carry the team. I just got to go and be the best me possible.
The problem with that is, and Matt, I want to ask you a question, but the issue, where you have to be careful with that for Jamal Adams is, remember when Richard Sherman left Seattle? The next team he played for was who?
49ers.
And what were they doing that year? Went to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. He tried to play in the space that he no longer was, and he hurt himself. And he got injured. Because trying to do more – look, Jamal Adams, this is not you in 2019. This is not you in 2017. Find that version of yourself and find how to play within those confines. Because if you let the mind take over and you try to be Jamal Adams from those years where you were really good, you're going to get hurt. Because at the end of the day, when you miss 5 years and you try to go back to that, it's not what that was.
So do you think him playing linebacker right now is going to hurt him? Or
I think it's going to help him because he doesn't have to move.
You said he beefed up a little.
He doesn't have to move as fast. He's not trying to come in there. He's not trying to drop back from 15 yards and come up and make a sack at the last second.
He's a ball player.
100%. And that's the benefit of being a speed player
like that.
With size.
Yeah.
Because he can transition. A linebacker can't go and get faster, right? But you can ask a safety to get bigger and come in and be a linebacker. So his trajectory, it fits what we needed. The fact that these are the guys that we're signing, and it's not Bill O'Leary from Frank's practice squad. We're like, who is this guy? You know, that's what I love. There's ballers that want to come here. Are they top peak ballers where they were? No, but they're people that we know understand the game.
They've been in the Pro Bowl before, these guys.
Well, speaking of that, we hyped them up. Let's actually play the sound. Here's Jamal Adams wanting to play for AG.
Yeah, he actually he did my pro day.
Mike's muted.
8 years ago, man. So he ran the show, and I was doing the drills, and obviously he was with the Saints at the time. And, you know, from that point on, you know, we've always kept a close connection. You know what I'm saying? So a hell of a coach, as everybody knows, but an even better person.
We're not there. That it was him calling. Were you pretty fired up? And what was that exchange like over the phone for you guys?
Yeah. So I didn't get the call. It was a text, but you know my agent and my pops had called me and they were like, "Hey man, answer your phone." I'm like, "That's my phone for what? What's going on?" You know. So like AG, I'm like AG with Detroit. Yeah. So it was cool, man. Just to be here. I'm very fortunate and grateful for my opportunity.
What's the perspective you've had on this team from a distance the last couple of years, even this season?
Yeah,
especially?
I mean, they've been kicking everybody's ass. So I'm fortunate enough to, again, just to be on a team that's rolling like this, and whatever I can do to help, that's what I'm here for.
When your opportunity ended earlier this season, and you're looking for a new team, a new home. Is this? Could you have imagined something this positive, this good?
I mean, obviously, it was definitely something I thought about. If I can get an opportunity with a team that's obviously winning and a first-class organization. So obviously, when the call came, it was like a dream come true. So very fortunate.
This has some legs, and I actually want to break this down a little bit, so I don't want to comment right now. I want to go to commercial break, and then I want to bring it back.
I just want to acknowledge one thing he said that I never thought I'd hear in my lifetime in referencing the Detroit Lions. A first-class organization, guys. That is the tone for free agents. That is the tone around the NFL. Out of everything he said, that blew me away. The Lions have never been a first